We're now going to turn our attention to a plan and an agenda, a learning agenda, if you will, following what's called the intentional change model, sometimes called the intentional change theory. This plan, through the form of a final project, which is I identified after the video, constitutes your artifact that you're going to need to produce when you attest for showing me your achievement. It consists of 5 steps, and we'll be going through each one of the steps. It's real important that you do this from a joyful standpoint, a positive, invoke some of those positive emotional attractors, start learning. So make it joyful, and I think you'll find that it's deep learning, it's real learning, and it'll be very positive as you move forward to applying emotional intelligence in your leadership position. Step 1 is to take a look at what's called the ideal self. This is your view of yourself. It shouldn't be confused with how others view you. How do you view yourself? And in that regard, you may want to renew your personal vision. It's easy with stress, chronic stress, day-to-day activities to lose sight of what your personal vision is. So renew it. It'll bring out the PEAs in you, the positive emotional attractors. It'll help you to reflect and zero in and be mindful of the moment. And then finally, review your shared vision. And by that I mean your shared vision with your team, grade level, department, your classroom, your school. Review it. Be open to new ideas and put people in a positive emotional attractor kind of state. Practice those intra and interpersonal steps of pausing, listening, thinking, discussing, laughing. Show compassion, show mindfulness and playfulness. I think through that process, you'll be learning one of the first big ahas, that approaching it from a positive standpoint, a shared vision, being open to new relationships and the possibilities of learning and change. This is all part of invoking emotional intelligence and social intelligences to lead. So review the shared vision, renew your personal vision, reflect on your view of yourself, not how others see you, but how you see you. Step 2 is the real self. How do you actually come across to others? Reflect on that. Solicit feedback from others. There's a danger here in assessing the real self, because you have ego defense mechanisms that'll kick into play here. And it's easy to shift to what is a more appealing image of yourself. So be careful of that. Let go of your ego. Good, honest discussions, good, honest reflections are key to identifying the real self, which frequently appear as norms and practices. Is that what you want? So let's move on to step 3 after we've defined both ideal self and real self. In the 3rd step, we're going to start identifying those gaps between the ideal self and the real self. Collection of real accurate data is important so you can identify these gaps and start developing a plan. You need to kind of do a balance sheet here of what are your core strengths and weaknesses. And then you need to start laying out, okay, here's my ideal, here's my real, here's how other people perceive the way I come off, here's what they're telling me is the way that I come off. What are the norms and practices that are gaps between my real self and my ideal self? What's the vision that I want What's the shared vision that I'm hopeful we'll all have? What are goals I can take? What are goals we can collectively take in regards to specific action steps? So start laying out the plan here. It doesn't have to be a 30-page document or anything. Just what are my core strengths and weaknesses? Where are the gaps? What's the vision I have? What's the vision we collectively have? What are the goals we can collectively reach consensus on? And what are the action steps? And then lead. Step 4 is practice. Adjust the behavior. Experiment with this adjusted behavior. Fine-tune it. Tweak it. Have constant effort. That's the only way you can really get to deep-seated, sustainable change. Practice, adjust behavior, experiment, constant effort, and practice. Again, that's all step 4. Step 5 is to apply your plan over time. It takes time to get good, to implement, and to have sustained change, intentional change. You're literally rewiring your brain and the brains around you, hopefully, by moving into this more positive environment. And you have to apply this in a social context, and you have to have supportive relationships in that as you practice until you get real good, as you develop these skill sets. You can implement models of coaching where someone's coaching you. You can coach others. You can mentor, peer mentoring. You can go as deep with this as you want, but apply some structure to it over time to where you're practicing and you're adjusting behaviors, you're catching yourself before you let that amygdala kick in gear and move it into more of cognitive and go back to your shared vision and be mindful and compassionate and playful. All of these factors as you experiment and practice, and you have to do it over time in a social context. So you may want to start with something that's a little more supportive and until you can practice this a little bit. So enjoy it. It's very, very powerful. The research is starting to show this. The amount of training that's going on with organizations across the world, when you look at the positive psychology and positive behavior papers that have been written over the last 2 decades, they're on an exponential growth. There's something to it. I hope you've enjoyed this course, and the final project will give you details for laying out this plan and proceeding ahead. Enjoy.